and we should have the defense bill passed now, but we're not going to do this funding until next year. It's totally inconsistent, unsafe, and the rest. So you just have to ask them that. But it just shows you how determined they are not to invest in the American people.
It's happening. The lawmakers are discussing a huge process on passing a new bill. These bills would have a great effect on the American people. However, folks, the Democrats are raising concerns on the United States right now. In this moment, we don't know what they're going to do about this fourth stimulus, because Kevin McCarthy signaled his support for today for some cuts in defense spending amid the growing tension with the White House and GOP leaders about whether another stimulus should be sent out today. Well, let me tell you one thing, it definitely should. During an appearance, Kevin McCarthy was asked if he was willing to cut defense spending as part of a reported deal with the GOP caucus in order to freeze spending at 2022 levels. While McCarthy disputed estimates that such a deal would result in a $75 billion cut to defense spending, something that people don't even want to admit is the fact. McCarthy told Fox, "It's back if we go to 2022 levels. There was the spending just 2 or 3 weeks ago. That's not cutting defense by $75 billion. So, the speaker also noted that every single level of the government should be looking at ways to spend less taxpayer money, but Kevin McCarthy remains timid as tensions grow within the White House GOP over possible reductions to defense spending. As a result of the deal, McCarthy reportedly struck in his bid to secure the speakership. Now, to cap discretionary spending in the fiscal year 2022, that would effectively cut $75 billion, everybody. $75 billion from the $900 billion of defense spending that the Democrats have and that the Democrats want. The Republican House majority also passed its first bill this week in an effort to revoke a boost in spending for the IRS. McCarthy announced that it was the first order of business because government should work for you, not against you. The bill passed a 221 to 210 vote along the party lines. It would rescind the budget increase of $80 billion given to the IRS earlier this year for the IRA. So now, however, the Biden administration has also threatened to make some big changes. And this is what I'm talking about. With Congress divided between Republican-led House and Democratic-held Senate, the policy priorities of either party may pass in a single chamber, but are unlikely to succeed in both. Partisan measures, therefore, have standing a little chance of becoming law, and the current Congress is not expected to pass a bill, major one that is, that advances the partisan platforms of Republicans or Democrats. Some analysts have worried that Republicans infighting in the recent rules package are a sign of more alarming things to come. They fear that the House may not be able to approve a must-pass bill, including government budgets and bills to raise debt ceiling. Congress holds the purse strings. It allocates the funds to federal agencies and programs, folks. And appropriation bills are passed periodically through Congress. But when it runs out, well, things are done. It's over for them. I do want to say that the Congress holds and last year that needed to approve an increase in the government borrowing power known as the debt ceiling. This means that Democrats warned that if the Republican-held House plays politics too much with the issue, it could lead to a disastrous consequence for the U.S. and the economy. And now, our state is on the track to reach a debt ceiling on January 19th, unless Congress does something. In the past, Congress has avoided this raising debt limit, but House Republicans say they will not support another increase unless they get spending cuts or other concessions. Defaulting on the debt would be a first in U.S. history. It would force officials to choose between continuing assistance, like Social Security, and paying interest on the nation's debt. But a House Republicans' payment prioritization plan will call for Biden administration to make the most urgent federal payments if the debt limit is reached. This plan is causing some confusion among the Democrats because they really just don't even know what to do and if they should send out stimulus. Well, the truth is they need to, and the truth is they have to send out stimulus now. We got 10 news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI, SSDI, as well as the SSA. We have a 10 news about the fourth stimulus payments, everybody.
Finally, I opened on a very sad note. Let me close on a happy one. There's immense joy and pride that the Senate passed the Respect for Marriage Act, a major victory for freedom, dignity, and equality for all. I'm so excited. House Democrats, as you know, originally passed the bill in July following the alarming concurrence in the Dobbs decision by Justice Thompson, when he concurred by saying he took aim at Obergefell. He just made it clear that this could be another target. The bill ensured that regardless of what the MAGA majority and the Supreme Court may do in the future, the federal government will never again stand in the way of marrying the person you love. We're going to take it up next week on Tuesday. That's going to be announced by the Rules Committee, so you knew first. And we will send it swiftly to the President to ask for a signature. I'm particularly happy because it'll be one of the last bills that I will sign as Speaker in enrollments.
But after a long and arduous year, after a year full of bad news, finally we have some good news to deliver to the American people. Make no mistake about it, this agreement is far from perfect, but it will deliver emergency relief to a nation in the throes of a genuine emergency. It should have the votes to pass the Senate, the House, and reach the President's desk to become law. We should make that happen as soon as possible, even tonight if we can. By all rights, a bill of this urgency should have passed months ago. The country needed it. But we all know what happened. The Republican majority caused more than 8 months of delay and gridlock. 20 members of the Senate majority wanted no money. And when the Republican leader simply forgets, for months he said, let's examine the crisis. Let's put it on pause, while Democrats were demanding more action. And then when he produced legislation, it didn't have what was needed and had poison pills, a provision that would give all corporations, no matter how egregious their behavior, immunity.
Democratic lawmakers are finally making huge progress on the fourth stimulus package, and it has been decided that billions of dollars in unused relief money will be going towards new stimulus checks for certain Americans. If you want to receive this fourth stimulus check, then be sure to continue watching this video because you definitely don't want to miss out on this. The Pennsylvania legislature has until June 30th to pass a new budget approaches. Pass a new budget, support for some spending of the state's billions of dollars in remaining stimulus money, and surplus tax revenue is gaining bipartisan action. Discussions are preliminary, and top budget negotiators want to reach a deal as soon as possible, but lawmakers, lobbyists, and top staff pointed to a small number of partisan proposals that have been put forward. On issues from the environment to child care, there could be building blocks for a spending plan. The House Appropriations Committee Chair told reporters this week that we move forward trying to identify areas of agreement first, and then we'll identify areas of disagreement and try to work through those. Each year, Pennsylvania's governor and legislature must agree on how to route tens of billions of dollars to education, economic development, and human services. These are decisions that affect every person in Pennsylvania. But the state's financial picture has changed in recent years, with the state's coffers getting $8 billion boost from stimulus money in 2021. In response, Wolf and his legislative allies called on the legislature to spend some of that windfall on higher education, paid family leave, and school repairs, among many other priorities. Early this year, Wolf released a budget proposal that would appropriate billions of dollars more to education and infrastructure. Republicans countered that additional spending would actually fiscally be responsible. But everybody, Pennsylvania